Welcome to Dinar Current, your go-to source for reliable updates, in-depth analysis, and key developments surrounding currency revaluations, especially focused on the Iraqi Dinar (IQD), the Vietnamese Dong (VND), and broader shifts within global financial systems. Today may mark a pivotal moment not just for individual investors and currency enthusiasts, but also for governments, financial institutions, and global entities closely observing the progress of emerging markets. A new chapter may be opening, one where currencies long seen as undervalued step forward as tools for preserving and building wealth. What was once dismissed as speculative chatter among niche forums is now evolving into a serious, credible conversation with potentially groundbreaking consequences. Analysis from trusted experts suggests that we are witnessing a structural shift in the global economic framework, one that could dramatically alter investment strategies, reshape national economic policies, and redefine how currencies are valued, particularly for countries that have faced years of economic turmoil, sanctions, or instability. As traditional assets are reassessed, attention is shifting to the IQD and VND. Investors aren't just asking about profits anymore, they're questioning the legitimacy of economies, geopolitical alignments, and how decentralized versus national currencies may shape the future. For years, talk of the dinar and dong was characterized by hopeful speculation rooted in long-term reform efforts. These currencies have come to represent more than financial instruments, they stand for national resilience and the prospect of recovery and global recognition. According to Frank 26, a well-regarded voice in the space for his detailed tracking of economic signals, central bank policies, and international finance trends, a significant breakthrough has been reported. The Iraqi dinar is now pegged at $4.58 and the Vietnamese dong at 3.77. Long circulating as rumors, these figures are now said to be backed by concrete institutional actions and growing public acknowledgement. Online communities, financial networks, and investment groups are buzzing with activity, strategies, and anticipation. But this isn't just a potential windfall, it represents a broader realignment in how the world views these previously overlooked nations. Consider this, a 100 Iraqi dinars note could now be worth $4.58. That's a staggering return for those who invested when Iraq's economic future was clouded with doubt. But beyond the financial gain, this revaluation tells a deeper story, one of Iraq's economic transformation, improved credibility, and institutional progress. After years of being associated with conflict and dysfunction, Iraq has been quietly reforming. The Central Bank of Iraq has enforced stricter financial controls, inflation has been reduced, oil production has climbed, and banking digitization has progressed. These improvements laid the foundation for what could now be a dramatic economic resurgence. The new valuation sends a clear message: Iraq is no longer a fragile, unstable economy. It is emerging as a serious financial contender with increased credibility and trust on the global stage. This development could alter trade dynamics, attract investment, and enhance economic morale within Iraq itself. This progress hasn't happened by chance. Since the early 2010s, Iraq has made consistent efforts to improve transparency, build relationships with major international financial bodies like the IMF and World Bank, and re-establish its global presence. Though overshadowed by geopolitical stories, the results, currency stabilization, better credit standing, and rising investment interest, are becoming undeniable. Frank 26's recent announcement of the new exchange rate has triggered a ripple effect through investor networks and institutional desks alike. But unlike the speculative bubbles of the past, this shift appears to be grounded in real policy decisions, data trends, and international alignment. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese dong is also entering the spotlight. With its newly reported rate at 3.77, the dong is gaining attention, not as a copycat of the dinar's rise, but as proof of Vietnam's own economic success. Vietnam has long been an export-driven powerhouse with a competitive labor market and growing foreign investment. As companies seek alternatives to China, Vietnam has positioned itself as a prime destination, strengthening its economy and raising its international profile. Historically, Vietnam's monetary policy aimed to keep the dong low for trade benefits. But changing realities, including rising domestic growth, strong demand, and better financial systems, have prompted a reassessment. The dong's new valuation reflects global recognition of Vietnam's strength. For example, someone who invested $1,000 in dong could now be looking at returns in the tens of thousands under this reported rate. But beyond the numbers, Vietnam is shedding its image as a low-cost exporter and emerging as a digital-savvy, financially stable nation. In both Iraq and Vietnam, digital finance and central bank digital currencies (CBDCs) are becoming essential to the modernization process. These nations are exploring digital currencies to enhance transparency, speed up cross-border transactions, and position themselves within the global digital economy. Iraq, though still heavily reliant on cash, is making strides with digital banking platforms and payment systems. Vietnam is ahead of the curve, already testing blockchain-powered financial solutions to promote inclusion. These efforts point to a future where physical and digital currencies coexist, increasing efficiency while maintaining sovereign monetary control. CBDCs may also open the door to new investors, including crypto funds and tech-forward financial institutions. For countries historically underserved by banking infrastructure, the shift to digital finance represents both a leap forward and a tool for economic democratization. Institutional reaction to the reported revaluations has already begun. Banks are reportedly adjusting internal systems to reflect these new rates, and financial analysts are re-examining assets once considered high risk or low priority. Currency desks, especially in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, are developing new strategies around exposure, hedging, and diversification. This movement impacts more than private investors. Pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and diversified portfolios may need to integrate Iraqi and Vietnamese assets into their broader investment strategies, not just as speculative tools, but as viable emerging market options. This shift calls on financial institutions to reconsider how currency value is determined. No longer just a factor of GDP and inflation, value is increasingly tied to political reliability, digital infrastructure, and strategic global partnerships. These revaluations are not isolated anomalies. They're part of a larger evolution in how global finance is structured. Iraq and Vietnam, once marginal players, now stand as examples of what long-term reform, policy coordination, and modernization can achieve. If the IQD's $4.58 valuation is confirmed and adopted globally, it could lower Iraq's import costs, boost its trade balance, and make the country more attractive to international investors. For Iraqis, it means stronger buying power, job creation, and economic stability. For the government, it improves negotiating leverage and budgetary flexibility. For global markets, it's a clear indicator of Iraq's readiness to compete. Similarly, the VND's valuation rise shifts perceptions and opens up new possibilities for Vietnam in both regional and global arenas. It shows that consistent reform and digital integration can elevate a nation's financial standing. Yet, amid the excitement, caution is necessary. Currency holders should anticipate variation in exchange procedures depending on the country, bank, and transaction size. Some financial institutions may request documentation, tax filings, or impose limits and holding periods. Scams are also a concern in times of financial transition. Anyone planning significant exchanges should consult legal experts and licensed financial advisors. Tax considerations, timing strategies, and documentation requirements must be carefully understood to avoid costly mistakes. Remember, the revaluation could present major gains, but only if handled strategically. Rash decisions can jeopardize profits and increase risks. Investors should proceed with knowledge, preparation, and expert support. As Iraq moves toward a digital future, the physical dinar remains legal tender. The central bank has clarified that both paper and digital versions will coexist for the time being. This phased approach helps avoid disruption, especially in areas where cash is still dominant. It also ensures that holders of physical currency, including those overseas, remain protected during the transition. Retailers, banks, and public agencies are being encouraged to prepare for dual currency systems. Educational campaigns will likely follow as the shift progresses. This ensures inclusion and maintains public trust throughout the transition process. With a possible digital dinar on the horizon, the reported rate offers a strong foundation for digital adoption. Government efforts to build trust through pilot programs, infrastructure improvements, and public outreach are already underway. For currency holders, the message is clear: verify your holdings, engage with trusted institutions, and plan carefully. This is more than currency news, it's a moment of generational significance. Those who've held on through doubt may now be in a position to benefit from one of the most important financial shifts of our time. Join the conversation, share insights, support others as they navigate this new terrain. Subscribe for live updates and stay aligned with reliable sources like Iraqi Dinar Info. The confirmation of IQD at $4.58 and VND at 3.77 isn't just data, it's a symbol of international recognition, economic renewal, and financial legitimacy. It's a call to stay engaged, informed, and strategic. These developments represent more than monetary gain. They are milestones in the stories of Iraq and Vietnam, stories of endurance, reform, and national resurgence. Behind every figure lies a population that has worked tirelessly toward recovery. For Iraq, this is a rebirth into a leadership role within the region. For Vietnam, it's an acknowledgement of its rise as a global manufacturing and financial power. Together, these stories rewrite what it means to be an emerging economy. As 2025 progresses, the future of global finance is being shaped by innovation, regional strength, and digital advancement. Iraq and Vietnam are no longer waiting for approval, they are actively influencing the global economic narrative. For those paying attention, this is not just an investment opportunity. It's a historic alignment. Stay alert, stay prepared, and position yourself wisely as we move into a new era of financial transformation.